So in the world of woodworking, we really have two trains of thought. We have old school craftsmanship and we have modern efficiency. Which one of these paths should you take, and which one matters the most to the customer? Which one matters the most when it comes to profitability? Let's dive in. All right, welcome back to the channel. My name is Zach Vaught. So excited that you're here and you're learning and you're growing as a custom furniture or a woodworking business owner. And I want to walk through, should you focus more on old school techniques, old school craftsmanship, or should you focus more on modern efficiency, and why? Why should you choose one of those? What's really the thought process behind that? And so when it comes to handcrafted perfection, is that what your client really wants? Does your client really want perfection, or do they want fast and easy? Right? This is a great question. What matters most to my client? And what do I want to build my business around? Do I want to build it around old school techniques, or do I want to build it around more efficient methods? And let me just say this. There's not a perfect answer for this. It really depends on you. It depends on your personality. It depends on what you are pursuing. If you want to grow a big business, you're going to have to introduce leverage into the business, which is modern machinery, multiple employees, speed, and that doesn't fit really well inside of the old school craftsman model, generally speaking. But if you are a one-man shop, you love doing everything yourself, you love cutting out dovetail joints, then stick with old school craftsmanship, right? Do your thing, right? So I'm not here to tell you that one is right and one is wrong, but I am going to tell you and hopefully help you focus on which one you should be focusing on based on what your goals are. So let's start with old school craftsmanship. Listen, there's some romance around old school craftsmanship, and it is something to be appreciated. When I see something that was built meticulously by hand that I knew took tens or hundreds of hours, I am in awe of that thing. Right? And so let me give you some just business principles about why this might be a good option for you. Okay. So what this is going to signal, if this is the way you want to take your brand, is that it's going to signal trust. It's going to be much easier to connect with clients because they're going to be in awe of your craftsmanship. This is also going to signal this is going to be expensive, right? So if you're doing things the slow way, the methodical way, the old school craftsmanship way, people are going to know that this is going to be probably 2, 3, 4 times as expensive as something that I could get at IKEA or get online at wayfair.com. So it provides also more emotional value to your buyers. So like if they know you built this thing by hand, you use old school saws, for some buyers, and typically this is the older generation. So if you have an older generation of buyers, they're going to find more value in that. Right? There's going to be an emotional connection to that product that you make them. Also, this is a massive differentiator. It's a massive differentiator between big box stores and you. They are pumping all this stuff out of an assembly line in Vietnam and shipping it overseas, and you are doing this here in the United States, in Canada, or wherever you are. It is made by hand by you, right? This is going to be a huge differentiator. So what are the cons of old school craftsmanship? Well, here are the cons, is that if you move slow, sometimes slow turnarounds can frustrate clients, and clients can love the product that you ultimately give them, but if they've already had a sour taste in their mouth because it took you way longer than you said it was going to take, it can kind of ruin the whole experience for them. Also, the other thing here is that if you say that you're an artisan craftsman, sometimes people are automatically and already know that this is going to be super expensive and I'm not interested, right? So you're going to miss a lot of opportunity to even have conversations with people because they immediately check you off as some super expensive thing that they're not interested in spending money on. And the last one here is that if you over-focus on perfection, you can get stuck overbuilding instead of delivering. And this is what I see oh my gosh, I see this all the time in the woodworking space, is that you have guys that are like hyper perfectionistic and they'll get a product 99.9% of the way done in a week. And then they'll spend another week working on the product. I'm like, dude, get this thing done and get it out the door so you can collect money, so you can get busy working on the next project. Right? And so hyper perfectionism is a massive Achilles heel to anybody that wants to be a business owner. That is not to say that you shouldn't have excellence, right? You shouldn't build an excellent product. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that I'm a huge believer in the principle of diminished returns. After a certain point, there's not really a whole lot else that you can do to make this product way better. Do the most you can, and then you have to at some point stop, right? You could stand on a tabletop literally forever if you wanted to. But at some point, you got to say, this is good enough. This is what I'm shooting for. This is the standard of excellence that we have. The main thing just to know here when it comes to this artisan craftsmanship, old school style, is that clients admire craftsmanship. Not all clients do. Some clients really do, but they're going to buy clarity, speed, and trust, which again, you being an old school craftsman, you're going to have trust kind of laid out there pretty quickly. And so there's pride in this, there's mastery in this, there's heritage in this, right? And so if you are okay with going slower, making way more money per project, but not having very many projects, and not necessarily always knowing where your next job is going to come from, you may be having some down weeks here or there, this is one of the ways that you can go. All right, woodworkers, I've got a challenge for you. It's called the 5K in 30-Day Challenge. Join the Woodworking Business Accelerator program, follow exactly what we teach you to do, implement the systems, the processes, the sales scripts, and if you close $5,000 in new custom furniture sales in your first 30 days, we're gonna give you your program fee back. That's right. You will have literally built a business growth system for free. So why would I do this? Well, because I would rather actually put my money where my mouth is and win only if you win than just asking you that you should just simply trust me. So if you're ready to build a business that funds your life and not just your hobby, this is your chance to build it without any risk. Check it out, link in the description below. With that, let's get back to the video. Let's talk about modern efficiency. This is really more so how I built my business. This, again, has pros and cons. There's positives and negatives with this style of business as well. And so one of the things that building a business based on modern efficiency is going to provide is it's going to provide quick turnaround times, a more rapidly growing business, and a place where you can plug in more unskilled labor inside of your business, train them quickly, and get them up to speed, okay? And so what clients love about modern efficiency-driven businesses, number one, is that they love fast quoting, clear timelines, and predictable delivery. Communication and follow-up throughout the build process. Touching base not only at the time of the sale, but right before we start building, throughout the process as we're building, when we get done building, and then when we're delivering, right? So communication is going to be super, super important. Typically what this creates will create just lower stress and more trust in your clients. And this isn't to say that you can't be an old school craftsman and still be a good communicator, but typically what I find is that if you are an old school craftsman, you're probably not a very good communicator. You're kind of like, just let me do my thing, leave me alone, right? And then the last thing that I love about modern efficiency is it really lets you scale without sacrificing consistency. One of the things that I always focus on was that I had checkpoints in the manufacturing process for our standard of excellence. So when we got done gluing up our tabletop and putting together our table base, we had 6 or 8 things that we're looking and we're checking, does this match our standard of quality before we move on to prep, right? So we move on to wood filling, sanding, prepping it for stain and finish. After we got that done, at a checkpoint before we stain anything. Have we done this, right? And then we move on to stain and paint. Okay, before we put a final coat of lacquer on this thing, we have another checkpoint. Are we good? Because what ends up happening if you don't have these checkpoints along the way is that somebody made a mistake on the build, on the tabletop when they laminated it or the table base, and nobody notices it until the product is done. And you can't fix it at that point. And you're trying to patch up your mistakes, right? Which is difficult to do. But this allows you to scale your business, insert employees into the business or tools into the business that are going to help you streamline it in a way that you're not going to have to sacrifice quality. So here's where a more modern and efficient business can backfire. These are some potential cons to a modern and efficient business. Number one is that it can feel impersonal if you lose the handmade touch. So if it just feels like a conveyor belt business. But one thing we always did is that we offered full customization of every product that we had, right? So they got to pick the length, the width, the color, the wood option. So we really made sure that they got exactly what they were looking for. Number two is if it feels too automated, clients wonder if you're just a mass production shop, and they're not going to value spending top dollar with you if they feel like you're just a mass production shop, you know, putting out 100 tables a month. The last one here, and this one is super, super important and something to be considered, is that it can lead to burnout if you chase speed over quality. This is always going to be the tension that you have in business, is that the faster you move, the faster you can get to your next order, the faster you can collect cash. You have a healthier cash flow cycle, the faster that you move. So cash is the oxygen to business. You've got to have it, so you got to move quickly. But if you move so quickly that you sacrifice quality, then you have upset customers. Then you have fixes that you have to constantly be handling and dealing with. You have bringbacks. You have wood that's splitting or cracking. You have problems that are happening because the quality wasn't up to par, and you focus on speed beyond quality, right? So you have to constantly live in the tension of what is the fastest we can go while still maintaining quality, okay? So the last thing here, what do clients actually care about? And based on my experience, clients want a great experience. Clients want to have good communication. They want to be able to pick exactly what they want. They want you to stick to your word and do what you say. If you said you're going to have it in 6 weeks, I want to have it in 6 weeks. They want to be fully informed on the front end. They don't want to be blindsided by anything that they're not expecting. These are the things that clients want. They want fast, cheap, and good, right? This is what everybody wants. There's an old saying that says you got to pick two of them. Fast and cheap, well, it ain't going to be good. If it's fast and good, it ain't going to be cheap. If it's cheap and good, it ain't going to be fast, right? And so you got to pick one of those three combinations. Which one do you want? And for me, personally, I want to sell expensive things. So I want to do it fast, I want to do it good, but it ain't going to be cheap, right? And if you can do it fast and cheap and good, then you can build a monster business because you're meeting every demand that a customer might have. With that, we're going to wrap this thing up, but hopefully this helps you understand, should I go old school? Should I go modern, super efficient? What do customers care about? What do they value? What do they not value? Hopefully this video is helpful. If you have any questions, be sure to let me know in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing with your life? You need to make sure that you subscribe. And with that, love and appreciate you guys. I'll see you in the next one.